Welcome back to the Sid Rosenberg Show.
We love him, and that is the great Lee Corso, who I guess has a crush on Katy Perry. Give me what happened there. Here's Katy Perry, this young, beautiful, major pop star. She's on the set a couple of weeks ago. That was the day when Mississippi upset Alabama. She rips the hat off of your head, which, of course, you have made famous. And it seemed to me, Lee, like you seemed a little pissed off there.
No, I wasn't. She took me by surprise. You know, we've done it 225 or 30 times. No one has ever touched my head. No one. And she ripped it off, and I just looked. I was startled.
Yeah.
You know, Katie, I found one thing. She's unique. That's for darn sure.
No, she's
unique.
And she's cute, too. I mean, how to bring you back to the days when you and Burt Reynolds were pulling 2-on-1s back at Florida State, yes?
Not so fast, my friend. No, let's don't go there. Let's don't go there.
It's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
Well, that was unfortunate that I went to that place. I only went there because Lee actually did admit that used to happen. And he said to me, he goes, I used to get the ugly girls, but of course with Burt Reynolds, the ugly girls were 9s. He got 12s.
Yeah, well, picture,
Burt Reynolds
having a roommate, yeah.
That was, how many years ago was that piece? That was when Chris Fowler was still the host of Game Day.
Probably at least two to 3 years ago.
Show was better then. And I love Reese. And Reese loves me and loves this show, but Chris was better at it, which of course he's not going to say, and he'll be like, "Oh, stop! Reese is great and annoying and all that humble nonsense." But anyway, he does the big game on ESPN, and I don't know. I don't feel like Chris Fowler gets enough credit for his tennis. He's great at tennis too. So then he used to be on me every single week, and now I get him like once a year, and I miss him and love him. And here he is, Chris Fowler. Hi.
Hey, so that was just last year, the Katy Perry extravaganza, of course. So I don't know when that segment was, but if it was a couple weeks after that, that was last October in Oxford. So time flies for you.
Oh, okay, last October. Thank you. Hey, before we get to college football, I have to tell you, Chris, that I still can't believe that Serena didn't win New York. I still can't believe it.
Well, she got in her own way, and that was the only way she wasn't going to win was if she got tight and she got super nervous and right on the brink. We haven't seen her do that in a long time. But any veteran will tell you, man, I think it's harder to manage the nerves as you get older, not easier. And she flat out choked, and she'd admit it, and it was really crushing for her, and she shut it down for the rest of the season. That's how disappointed she was about losing that semifinal. Believe me, I wouldn't have mind calling her in a final and winning a calendar slam. I would have no objection to that. But you take what's dealt to you.
Sometimes we place too much importance on what happens in these events, and there were some people that even though Tiger, for example, is 4 behind Nicklaus, were ready to give Tiger the mantle as the greatest of all time, even before he caught Nicklaus. And, like Venus said, it doesn't matter whether she wins or not. She's the greatest player of all time. And I'm not sure everybody in the sport is ready to – are they? Are they ready to say that Serena is already the greatest female tennis player of all time?
Well, not by resume. But if you want to say the game's improved, that she would beat Martina because she's stronger, athletic, I mean, who knows? That you'll never know. The only thing you can look at is accomplishments and resume, and she's not quite there with Steffi because she's one major short. And, in terms of numbers of titles and weeks at number one, there's other measuring sticks. I think you have to remember that, and Federer fans and Nadal fans as well. When you just go by who's the greatest because who's got the most majors, you have to understand that back in the day they didn't view it that way.
Right,
Players didn't obsess on only the majors. I got to get the most majors. Half of them didn't go to Australia. They skipped tournaments all the time. So I'm not worried to say that Serena hands down has the greatest resume because she doesn't yet. But in terms of dominance in her era, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean, she's the favorite in every match she plays for years, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how she bounces back in Australia.
Well, I agree with you. One more on tennis. My daughter, Ava, she's 11. She plays at Rick Macy's Tennis Academy here in Boca, Chris. And Macy he's trained 6 number ones now. In fact, both Venus and Serena, along with Sharapova and Roddick and a host of others. He had them when they were 9 years old, Venus and Serena. He was on the show during New York and during the Open. And I asked him, I said, flat out, are we watching right now, and he's been in tennis for 40 years, are we watching the best female and best male ever right now? And without any hesitation, he said, yes, Serena's the best female tennis player ever, regardless of wins, and Federer's the best male player ever, regardless of wins. That was his opinion.
Yeah, and opinions are what they are because it's purely subjective. Even when you look at resumes, it's subjective. I mean, that's what makes the sport interesting. People love to argue, like they have strong opinions, and they throw stuff out there. And there's certainly you can make a strong case for both those players. I mean, Roger, in terms of resume, does have the most major wins, a bunch of weeks at number one, bunch of titles. But Serena's obviously got the bigger number of majors. Just that there have been some women.
Yeah.
Margaret Court, I do put an asterisk. Okay, she won a bunch of Australians.
Right. Agreed.
The fields weren't very strong. But let's say Steffi Graf, if you want to look at the modern era, and she had greats to play against when she was out there. I mean, she faced a bunch of Hall of Famers in her era, so you can't criticize that aspect of it. I mean, listen, Serena can take care of that debate by winning a couple more, and that's why I think
then it's over.
2016 is going to be fun.
Yeah. I will say this. I don't remember ever, and I've been to the Open many, many times, and I've been to two out of the majors. You've been to all of them, actually, but, of course. But I don't remember ever, Chris, seeing more star power. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw Oprah Winfrey, Kim Kardashian, the amount of superstars that were in Queens that night for Venus Serena. It had to be the most Justin Timberlake, Jimmy Fallon, Alec Baldwin. I've never seen it like that before.
No, you haven't. I don't know. I think it was incredible. But I think over the years you've seen the celebrities turn out. When Venus first played Serena in a night's final, they said all the people who were there. Robert Redford was another one who was there. He was there the original match when they first played at the Open as young girls. But Donald Trump, by the way, I called the Venus Serena match. He was about 4 feet away behind the wall of glass. His box is right next to our booth, so he's like looking in there.
Awesome.
Up and all that stuff, and so. That's the fun part about those matches is that they're huge New York events, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And the celebrities who came out for the Federer Djokovic final was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was good too.
Huge roster they left. Yeah.
Did you walk over to Trump and tell me you're voting for him?
Did not walk over to Trump and tell him anything.
Yes, you did. Admit it.
Do you tell Trump anything? I don't think you can tell him. I think you just listen.
No, you got to tell him. No, you got to tell him. You got to let him know I'm your guy. Just so you know, Donald, I'm your guy. So, but of course, you wouldn't.
I
say
don't vote in that primary.
You don't?
I don't vote in the primary. No, I don't. You know, wanted to talk tennis. Yes, Al Golden wanted to talk tennis with me yesterday, by the way, because he had visited the French Open with his dad last year. So he was in a mood to talk about tennis, among other things. And that's not what you want to talk about in regard to Al Golden, I'm sure. But he did have tennis on the brain momentarily.
I'm sure he did. Listen, he likes tennis. I know. I like Al. He likes Springsteen. He likes the Jersey Shore. He likes tennis. There's a lot I like about Al Golden. I got to tell you, though, to a man, he is about as unpopular right now here in South Florida, especially Miami Hurricane fans. I mean, I hate saying this because he's a nice man. They hate him. I mean, and I think, look, even Chuck Todd likes the Hurricanes plus the points on Saturday. But nobody expects the Hurricanes to win any big games anymore ever.
Well, they do. The players, I get a sense of real confidence and belief. Now, that's just spin until you do it. I said in Twitter, we'll see, because everybody's getting up in arms. I'm not predicting a Miami win, but I did hear from them, real assurance, and they know how the game came down last year. It was a play or two they didn't make that Florida State did make. Florida State had a lucky carom, and they did what they do. They made the plays down the stretch, and outscored Miami 23-3. But even though the game's up here, I think that those guys believe they're definitely on a par. They didn't feel that way 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But it doesn't mean anything if you don't go out and produce and play for 60 minutes and get the kind of win that the program has lacked. I mean, listen, I know they desperately need a win in a game like this, as a staff, as a team, a program, all of it.
I'll say this, Ohio State's in big trouble, because when you get a team all fired up, when you find out, Fowler, that Randy Edsall's out and you are playing for Randy Edsall, I wouldn't want to be the Buckeyes this weekend.
You wouldn't? I don't fear the Terps. I don't fear the turtle quite as much as you do, I guess. They've not shown a lot of punch.
Well, what happened? How do you give this guy? How do you give this guy a contract extension 3 years in June? The former Connecticut coach Randy Edsall, and tell me 3 months later he's got to get the hell out of here.
I don't know what goes on back there behind the scenes. I mean, Under Armour wields a lot of power there, and just like Nike does at Oregon. But I don't know if it includes weighing in on the coach. I have no idea about that. But it's pretty early, don't you think? October. But that will never happen at U of M, by the way. All these people, you help me understand something, because the planes and the banners, that's sort of just random silliness. That doesn't really have any impact. I mean, are the people that are the maddest? Are those the fans? And I'm not saying they're not. I don't know, but it would give me some insight for Saturday night.
I'll tell you who else is.
Are they the ones that are they the peripheral guys that don't buy tickets, that don't have any association with the school, but they loved attaching themselves to UM when UM was great in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and now they're the ones that are loudest, and they're acting like a pro sports crowd because firing the Dolphins staff wasn't enough for them? Or are they true fans who love the team, who have realistic expectations, who want to make a change? You tell me.
That is a great question, and I think it's the first. I think it's A in this scenario. Look, this is me. Okay, don't get mad. It's a bad fan base. They're fickle. They don't care. They don't live, eat, and breathe it. Evidenced by the amount of people that show up at these games. So I think you're right. It's listen, things are going badly. Let's hop on and just crush them. But here's where I would be upset if I were Miami. I talked to Gino Torretta. I talked to Alonzo Highsmith. Those guys are pissed. I mean, those guys didn't like Randy Shannon either, don't get me wrong, but those guys really thought Al Golden was going to do something, and those guys are pissed. So forget about the guy in Cutler Ridge or Kendall. I'm talking former players that are pretty embarrassed.
Haven't they pretty much been pissed since Larry Coker's after his first year? Haven't those guys been annually pissed about what's going on because they think it should be like 87, 88, 90, 91, 2000. I mean, if you're in that era, listen, a lot of fan bases are trying to dial it back to the glory years, and they're going to come up frustrated every single time because that's just not where we are in the sport. That's not where UM is. It's not where they're going to be. Hello, people, get used to it.
Okay,
you're not going to win 3 championships in 4
that's
years.
True.
Okay?
That's true. But there's got to be in other words, explain this to me. They're not going to win 3 championships in 4 years. I get that. Okay, but they can't even vie inside their own division in a crappy conference. You explained to me.
I said that. We're not talking about championships here.
Right.
We're not talking about Murderers Row. You're talking about the ACC Coastal. I get it. I understand the frustration. I've said this before. I understand that it builds because when you see Duke and you see Georgia Tech, no disrespect, but you see those programs winning the division, they have every right to ask, why not us, over a period of time. The probation years are tough. Those are legitimate excuses. That's expired now. The expiration date on that stuff is over, which is why there is urgency tomorrow night. It's why there is urgency this season. And it's not even like we're trying to win the Pac-12 South or the SEC West.
No.
I mean, those are just divisions, but they're a lot deeper and stronger.
That's right.
The ACC Coastal is manageable. The ACC Coastal, frankly, is set up for Miami to win it. I mean, when you look at how things are aligned, I mean, that's just – they wouldn't admit that on the conference, but it's lined up that Miami should be right there in the mix playing FSU and Clemson in the championship game or Virginia Tech. One of those – that's what they envisioned. They didn't really envision Duke and Tech winning division titles. But credit to them for doing it. But I totally get the Canes frustrations fans are not even meeting that goal. I get it.
And let me say this to you,
the players do too.
And let me say, on the way out, let me tell you this, okay? I'm watching Michigan because, listen, Brady Hoke and those guys, they couldn't get out of their own way. That was a bad team now for years outside the quarterback from Deerfield 3 years ago. And what'd they do? They destroyed BYU. Watch, they're going to beat Northwestern this weekend. And all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh comes to town. They're going to be a top 15 team. So don't tell me that, that they can't turn things around. Golden's been here for 5 years. Harbaugh's been there for 15 minutes. And Michigan is already turning into a Big Ten powerhouse.
Well, wait a minute. Easy, Cowboy. What have they done yet? I mean, let's wait and see how the Big Ten season plays out. First of all, let's wait and see if they beat Northwestern, because I think that's Northwestern is one of the surprise teams. That could be like 6-3.
Yes.
That game.
Yes.
I mean, it's definitely old school. I mean, Harbaugh's got them playing great defense, but let's just be careful before you start crowning Michigan anything. I want to see how the season plays out. And I think that look, Harbaugh, no one should be surprised that he injects energy and turns the team around quickly. That's what he's done. That's what he did in the NFL. That's what he did at Stanford. I'm not surprised that he's going to have – I think he will have success. It's great for the sport. But I don't know what they've done yet now, so let's be careful. Let's watch Saturday. Let's watch them play Michigan State, Ohio State, before you start, crowning Harbaugh the coaching king of the world here after a month.
He is, though. I don't care. They're going to win, and he is the king of the world. And you know what sucks? I can't even bet you anymore. Well, like I'll say, a Fowler. If Michigan beats Northwestern and Harbaugh does what I think he's going to do, you have to put me on game day because you walked away from that gig and gave it up. So what can you do for me now?
If Reese is so tight with you, as you said, running in, you know the gateway.
Wait, are you telling me
you're not my problem anymore in that department?
That's funny. I love the way you characterize that. You're not my problem. Are you telling me on the way out here, Chris, that this great friendship, but it's not bull, it's a great friendship we forged over the years, that I've got a better chance with Reese Davis?
You've got a what?
A better chance with Reese Davis.
Oh, getting on the show. I mean, what do I have to do with it? I got nothing to do with it. I mean, it's an emotional thing stepping away from that. I'm not glued in on Saturday mornings. I'll come back to it at some point. But if they somehow get past the moat and the gatekeepers and climb the wall and get on the game day set, right. I will tune in for that one. I will tune in to see that. Sure.
I will wait till you come back for your guest appearance. Hey, I love you. Thank you for hopping on today. Wish we could do this more often, but anytime you do it, Chris, I'm very appreciative. So enjoy the Canes and Knowles on Saturday, and thank you, man. Thank you.
I hope we get a good one. I wanted to come down to the last possession like we did last year. That was a really, really fun game to call. The atmosphere was great down there. It was electric, and and I want to see that kind of thing. I'd love to see. It's a rivalry if the games are good. It's not a rivalry if they're blowouts and one team's winning. The rivalry needs a good close finish like last year.
Well, I can tell you, Chuck Todd is putting 10 G's, taking the point. So
he told you the amount, huh?
No, I made that up.
A lot of points. A lot of points for what people think is going to be a lower scoring game.
That's what I'm saying. So just trust me on this one. I've never steered you wrong. And Mark Lawrence loves the Hurricanes. He loves every underdog. Any underdog doesn't matter. Every underdog.
You've never got to pick wrong. You're like one of those guys that used to be in those tout shows on Saturday morning. My 5-star platinum conference USA lock of my life. Yeah. I used to love those shows.
That's exactly.
I have never better information on an ACC game than this one right here today.
That's Stu Feiner. He's on my show every Thursday. He's never lost. He's never lost a game.
I love.
They did. I got Bernard Hopkins on hold, but one time, Chris, it's a true story. They got a monkey. 60 Minutes when these handicappers are making big money. They got a monkey to pick games against Stu Feiner on 60 Minutes, and the monkey kicked his ass.
Monkey service was probably cheaper too, right?
I love you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. You too. Take care. Is he not a great guest, Chris Fowler?
He's great, man. He's hilarious.
I love him. Well, I love this next guy too, though.
We love Bernard.
He's my favorite. There's a fight going on next week. Oh, it's a big one too. It's Golovkin against Mario Lemieux, the former Pittsburgh Penguin.
David Lemieux.
Oh.
He's Canadian.
I know he is.
He's from Montreal.
Saturday night, October the 17th, and Bernard Hopkins is going to be there. And he's our favorite boxer. He's the best talker in Vegas by far. Here's our good friend, the real Bernard Hopkins. Hello, Bernard.
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm listening to y'all, man, and getting educated a little bit. This is really one of those fights, man, where people just come in to enjoy the rounds that it's going to last. Triple G is not with us, Golden Boy Promotion, but we do have David Lemieux, who has earned his respect, and people are not actually counting him out. They know he has a puncher's chance, but they also know he has a heart, and they both really come to destroy their opponents early, and that's what makes this fight so exciting.
It also doesn't hurt that it's at the world's greatest. I love going to fights at the Garden. Listen, I saw you in Vegas, Bernard, most recently at Floyd and Manny, but I love fights at the Garden. Do you?
Oh, listen, absolutely. And I was out there for Monday to Monday, 7 days, a whole week. And my thing is that one guy didn't come to fight, and that was Pacquiao. I mean, he came to fight, but he got really discouraged early and started swinging for the fence, and then maybe that hindered his shoulder rotations, because when you miss, it's just as versus you rather hit something than hit nothing.
Right.
And a baseball player can tell you that. So my thing is this, man. That this fight here, fast forward 7-8 months later, we have a fight that people are not going to have to take out a second mortgage to watch.
Right.
and that was kind of cute. That was kind of cute, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was very funny. Very good. Very
exactly. So they will be able to sit there and watch two guys that not only can bang, y'all. I want people to understand, and that this is where my skill, my expertise come in. We talk about banging, knockout ratio and all that, and that's true. That stands out, and of course, we live in that type of society, good or bad.
Right.
But they have skills when they have to use it. They've just been so blessed, both of these guys, where they never have to use it. So,
no, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a great fight. I agree, Bernard.
It's going to be an awesome fight, and it's written on the wall. It's already written.
Golovkin versus Lemieux. I tell you, I mentioned the fact they're fighting at the Garden. I got to tell you this, B-Hop, not because I love you, which I do.
2001. I know what you're ready to say.
You son of a gun. 2 weeks after 9, it was the greatest exhibition. I took a limo to the Garden. I said, this guy Hopkins is going to get his effing ass kicked by Trinidad. And I swear to God, 30 seconds into that fight, I was rooting for you so hard, and you kicked his ass. It was my favorite fight moment ever at Madison Square Garden.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because even though I'm tied into this fight as a respected promoter with Oscar, my partner, Golden Boy Promotion, I cannot avoid an interview, especially now because of the middleweight tournament that's happening again. How surreal it is that I'm on this side of the equation, this side of the table,
right?
And participating, and which rare, which is hurting boxing, that you have a unification tournament or bout going on, and I'm involved in a division that I ruled for 12 to 13 years with 20 successful defenses, broke records, set records. And now I get to tell people how significant it is for them to be conscious and to be not skittish or careful, but be conscious of what happened in 2001.
Yep.
When I was a 6-1 underdog, a heavily favored, younger, undefeated, just come off a big win with my partner Oscar De La Hoya, Felix the Great, Tito Trinidad. And no one gave me, most people didn't give me a shot. None of the critics, none of the writers. I still, obviously, Lemieux, I'm going to say it, he's not Bernard Hopkins and I'm not him. It doesn't mean he don't have his credibility. What I'm saying to people is that every now and then, people and experts are proven wrong. They're right more than they're wrong.
Right.
But every now and then we get those special occasions that you will never forget as long as you're still living on this earth. That fight, 2001, Madison Square Garden, Bernard Hopkins, it was Tito Trinidad, he the headliner, and Bernard Hopkins. It's the same script that I see now. And when they come down to Madison Square Garden, on HBO pay-per-view, they'll be able to see this fight, and they'll be able to witness this fight, and it will be, I'm telling you, it will be a reincarnation of 14-plus years ago. I'm going on record saying that.
I like that.
I'm going on record saying that.
Well, let me say this. If you're right, Bernard, then fight fans are in for a doozy coming up next Saturday, the 17th on HBO with Golovkin and Lemieux. They are in for it. And you're right. Every now and then somebody wins who's not supposed to. Maybe it's Ben Carson. Maybe it's Donald Trump. But, I mean, listen, I know.
Maybe it's the Philadelphia Eagles.
I can't wait. Next Monday you play my Giants on Monday Night Football, Bernard. I should come to Philly and watch the game with you.
That.
Yeah, I know. But
I'll be there.
I know you're going to be there.
Night.
But let me seriously on away from boxing for a second, because one of the reasons why you become very popular with my show is you come on and we've talked about some very serious issues, black and white issues across America, all those times, and you're very honest and you're very smart and very good with that stuff. So I would imagine, are you getting all caught up in this presidential race, Donald Trump, Ben Carson, all this stuff, or not really?
I'm paying attention. Absolutely. What do you want to know?
Well, tell me this. Tell me this. Tell me
we-
this. I know you know Donald because you're a wealthy guy and a famous guy and a boxer, and of course Trump was involved in boxing for so many years. So I know you know Donald personally. Do you like him? Is he a guy you could see yourself voting for? I mean, what about that dynamic, you and Trump?
Voting for Trump. If I had a choice between vote for Trump or move to China, I'll move to China.
Now, why would you say such a horrible thing about your friend Donald Trump? Why is that, Bernard?
No, Ben, you said I was honest. You said I'm
Right.
brutally honest, and I'm telling you, listen, I'll hug him tomorrow, having a day, but I wouldn't vote for him. I'll move to China. Literally, I take all my money. I'll call all my bank. I'll call all of my banks up. I'll call New York, Delaware, Philly. I'll call everybody up and say, get my bonds, get my bonds and everything, and I'm leaving.
Well, then who would you be? Who would keep Bernard Hopkins in the United States?
Hillary.
Hillary? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now, okay? First of all, you're still in great shape at 50 years old. Great shape. Second of all, I have the utmost respect for you as a champion on many different levels and many different belts. But if I was sitting in front of you right now and you said Hillary, I would have no choice, as much as I love you, but to beat the living daylights out of you. Just so you know that.
But I would have outran you. I would have ran after I said that. You wouldn't have caught me. I'm faster than you. You remember that?
How do you know that? You know,
I'll vote for Hillary, man. If I had a choice and it was up to me,
Yeah.
which everybody would be out of their mind if they give me the choice. But I'm telling you, I really believe I don't get caught up in the phone emails and all that stuff. I pay attention. You can't take it for granted because, it's stuff that you got to make sure that classify information. So I'm letting you know I pay attention to politics, stocks, bonds, the whole 9 yards. I want to know how the world's working because I got an investment in this world, in this country we live in.
Sure.
So my thing is, let me tell you, I think she'll do a better job than most of the candidates that we have.
Okay.
I really feel that.
Okay. No, listen, you're not alone.
And hold up, let me tell you, I'm thinking politics too. Can I? This is really going to have you thinking, and it might change both of your minds in the studio, or three, or how many?
For Hillary?
We will have two presidents if she win in the White House.
Right.
We will have two presidents. We have an 8-year president in Bill Clinton,
Right.
and we have a new president. So look, all that knowledge. It'd be a lot of pillow talking at night.
Yeah.
It'd be. I mean, we get 2 for 1.
No. You're assuming, Bernard, that Bill's going to be there. We know about Bill's history, and she may be there, but he'll be at some bar in D.C. with a younger and hotter blonde. We know that already.
Well, no, because I'll be there before you get. I'll be there before you get there.
You are. All right, one more on the political front. We'll go back to the fight. I say to you, Bernard Hopkins, you ready for this?
Yes.
Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter? Which one?
All lives matter because life is life. You only get one. But I think black lives are looked upon different than any other lives that exist and breathe the same air that we all breathe.
Here's why I ask you this. You served. See, here's another thing about you that I think is great and remarkable. You did serve time in prison. Okay, you're accountable. You went away, and you came out a much, much better man. You'll be the first to admit that.
That's why black and any lives, white, Chinese, green, red, matters because you never know who you're killing.
I understand that. I understand that, but would you agree, though, as a black man, and you would admit you were a bit of a troublemaker, would you agree, though?
You're being nice. You're being nice. I was listening to that. You're being very nice.
I know I am. But would you agree that African American people are treated differently by the police and have every right to feel like they are being targeted?
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think the police is justified and so many reasons because of the statistics. Now, whoever doing a statistic is a statistic writer or a statistic predictor. But I think that it works on both sides. I think that there are things going on in society that are real, that are absolutely real, that's happening in the city of Philadelphia, where I'm at most of the time. And I recognize and understand it. But is in the same token, it's some profile, yeah. I mean, I can take, and this ain't imagination or nothing, I mean, yes, I'm Bernard Hopkins, but everybody of older age or young age or whatever might not know who I am. So if I go and say Neiman Marcus and I'm not giving no commercial, I have no dealings with them or anybody else, I see myself being followed, and I'm just looking at, prices and jeans and whatever.
Right.
And I know what it is because I come from a street-savvy background where I've been on both sides of the equation. And that's what makes me, I believe, and I'm going to use the word expert. Yes, in my own way, I understand both sides of the world. I tapped into corporate America. I also come from the mindset of that you owe me, I don't owe the world nothing. I had that ignorant type of mentality, and I use the word ignorant because of lack of knowledge. And I understood that. But I figured it out. Very few in my situation at that time figured it out. So the blame game can go back and forth and it'll never end. And it's probably going to never end. But what can end is guys like myself and other ones that think or have the same type of mentality with their own twist and opinionated attached to that can change some lives that want to be changed just by speaking and doing this interview this morning. All lives matter. Even yours, mine, your grandkids, their kids. We got to set the tone to be who we want to be now. Not tomorrow. We might not have that chance.
Well, then tell me this, because first of all, I agree with everything you're saying, and you're saying it. You're great. You know you're great. Tell me this, Bernard, as a black man. How do I have a black president who, under his watch, and I can't blame him for everything, that would be silly, but under his watch, race relations have gone backwards. It feels like the 1960s all over again. What do you say about that?
Well, I can say a comment that you have to have not only a personality, not a joking comment. I said it from day one, 7.5 or close to 8 years now. Only got a few, and on term, and 8 years almost up.
Right.
They gave the black man in America the worst job at that particular time in America. And they want him to fix or whatever he do. Not that it's been a perfect decision making. I voted for him knowing my taxes are going to go up. I'm at 39-40% right now. So my things, I pay attention. I do pay the government. That's my partner. That's my best friend. And I'm telling you right now is that I look at it as a store owner who's the opposite. And I've seen this, literally seen this, even in my own family back in the day. Older uncles was given a project. You know what the definition of a project is? Like projects in the ghetto in the hood.
Right.
And we want you to fix it, and you can't win no matter what because it's so It's so messed up. Yeah. It's so politically. Do the president really call the shots, or whoever have the most in the House, the Democrat or the Republican?
Right.
So if the House controls the Republican or controls the House controls the decision making, that finally has to be on his desk, the president. And it gets vetoed. Oh, they think boxer ain't know about veto? If it gets vetoed, then we back to the drawing board. The gun control. A guy with it recently. Tell you, I watch certain news. I don't watch cartoons or rap videos. I'm on world news. Guy go in there and kill up everybody in the school.
Yeah.
And you telling me gun violence and all that stuff is this? The best way to beat the bad guys to have a gun, whatever the quote was. That went viral.
You don't believe? Let me ask you, Bernard Hopkins. You're as tough as it comes. Philly, been to jail. Anybody ever pull a gun to your base? And by the way, if they did, wouldn't you feel pretty good if you could pull your own gun out right to them?
Well, if they pull a gun out, and I don't have one.
Yeah.
If they pull a gun out, I don't have one. I'm at their mercy because I just want to see another day. So you got that. So we used to say in the street, yo, you got that, man. You got that. You got something. You got that. Now, let me tell you something. If we all strap up, the slang word, we all strap up, it's a wild, wild west. So anybody that cut in front of you, they call it road rage. It happens. So you mean to tell me that things that we can talk about are things that can be separated between authority? Instead, I got a gun, you got a gun. Now I feel not powerless. I feel like I got power. So now that I got this gun, the psychological thing is going to be, I'm going to shoot you.
I'm going to shoot you.
And then figure it out later. So what are we saying? We're saying that everybody going to be, listen, the criminals got guns they ain't supposed to have it. Now we're going to have civilians with a gun that's not experienced with the gun. Okay, you went to a couple of shooting ranges for 2 or 6 weeks. Are you kidding me? Just because you got your license to drive don't mean
you can be a good driver. Well, what about, Bernard, what Ben Carson said this week? Ben Carson said this week that if a guy's got a gun in his face, he's not going to stand there and let him kill him. Now, you're a world-class professional boxer. You got great speed. If, in fact, you get to the guy, you're going to kick the living the daylights out of him. Well, would you do that? If somebody got ready to pull a gun to you, Bernard, are you going to wait for the guy to shoot you? Or are you going to go try to knock the guy down?
I'm going to try to talk my way out of it.
But what if you can't? What if he doesn't want to talk to you?
Listen, time I get finished spitting, he's going to give me the gun to shoot him.
That's great. That's the best answer I've heard yet.
He going to get tired of me. Yeah. He going to get tired of me talking so much, he going to tell me to put him out of his misery.
That's the best answer I've heard yet. Oh, that's funny. Listen,
hey, man, I'm still, listen, buddy, your buddy, me, myself, your buddy. I consider myself your buddy. Listen, I'm still sharp, man. I'm still quick on the draw.
You are, man.
He would give me, listen, he pulled a gun out on me. After I get finished spitting, he would give me the gun and say, "Get me on my mission. I can't take it no more.
Please shoot me.
Out of here.
Please, I'm begging you." That's like in the movie Airplane when they hung themselves talking to the nun. Hey, before I let you run, though, and you are great again, as always, Bernard, I can't wait to see you in New York and Vegas. Give us one more time. Next Saturday night, Golovkin-Lemieux, what can HBO fans expect?
They can expect a shootout in the fight. The fight won't go 12 rounds. My guy has a bigger task and a bigger burden. I agree. There's no denying that. But I'm telling people, just keep that, what I said 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, keep that in the back of your mind. History always repeats itself. It just win. Would it be Saturday? We'll see.
You're beautiful. Really, I swear, Bernard. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. With me especially. I don't know how you're with everybody else, but you're really
always
good.
Been a straight shooter with me, man. You always been a straight shooter with me. We disagree to agree, but we understand that this is a business, and I speak my mind, and it might not be politically correct all the time, but that's just the realness you get from me, and you're one of the guys that recognize that. Everybody don't. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass.
Thank you.
Everybody don't recognize that when you ask me something, just understand it might not be what you want me to say.
That's right.
Because I'm going to say it my way. And when you have that relationship, that's called credibility to me.
Well, you
that's
keep
called
talking.
Credibility.
You keep talking. I'll see you next month. You're great. I love you. Thank you, B. Thank you.
Be well. Be well.
All right, guy got great. Love Bernard Hopkins. Look at what we just talked about here. I mean, I don't know how many interviews he's going to do today, and he'll talk about the fight and all that. But listen, he's great with this other stuff, and he knows what's going on. He is watching political shows and business shows, and he's made some good money in his lifetime. He's got to worry about that stuff. We talked about how he's being taxed by this government. He really is a great guest, is he not? Great guest.
He's got a lot to say.
I love him. Bernard, I love you. We'll take a short break. We'll talk to actress Tisha Campbell. She was on Morton. Now she's on Dr. Ken, ABC on Friday nights. We're back with Tisha right after this.